Hi, this is Linda Lee again, and this is just another teaching that came out of the new creation in Legos for me, that is. Uh, I was listening to Curry Blake on a message he did on substitutional identification, and he speaks of us being able to identify ourselves with Jesus as being just as him or just like him. As Jesus is, so am I in this world, 1 John 4:17 on this earth. But having a hard time identifying Jesus with ourselves, identifying Jesus with myself. So I was talking about that with the Lord. It's good, easy for me to say, as Jesus is, so am I in this world. But for me to say, as I am, so is Jesus. I was telling the Lord I have a hard time saying that. And he asked me why. And I respond, because I am so small and Jesus is big. I can easier identify myself with Jesus, the lesser blessed by the greater, than Jesus with myself. What I am to him. I am so small. And then I had this big aha moment. The Lord caught me, and it's like the verse he brought to mind was, we were grasshoppers in our own sight, from Numbers 13, verse 33. And also another verse, Genesis 3:11, who told you were naked? So in this sense, for me, it was like the old man, Pepper, was called on the carpet. Just like in the same teaching, Curry Blake speaks of Jesus identifying himself with us. For an example in the Word, Paul's on the road to Damascus, and he is stopped by Jesus, and Jesus is saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he says, who are you? And he says, I am Jesus whom you're persecuting. And up to that point, we see that's in Acts verse 9, verse 3 through 5. But before we see what Paul is doing in Acts 8, verses 1, 3, and then 9, 1 through 2, he's persecuting the church. So Jesus is identifying himself with us. He's identifying himself with mankind, with believers. But even before that, with mankind, in Matthew 25, when he's talking about when you've clothed me, you've seen me and you've clothed me, you've fed me, this is kind of summarized, and you gave me drink. And the people said, when have we done all these things for you? And he said, whenever you've done it to the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. So Jesus is identifying himself with mankind. So anyway, when we look at that, it was kind of like I was saying to myself, okay, so old man Linda, why are you persecuting me? Why are you persecuting Jesus? Because the word says, as Jesus is, so am I in this world. And then the Lord's like, if in my own sight, me, Linda, I am small, a grasshopper, unclothed, then what does that say of my Jesus? If when I see Jesus with an unveiled face, I behold as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, I observe myself in a mirror, I go away and have immediately forgotten what kind of man I am, the kind of man whom even um, the winds and the sea and the water obey. I've forgotten who I am if I see myself as small. I'm seeing my Jesus as small. I'm looking at 2 Corinthians 3:18 and James 1:23 through 24. It means that I do not truly see myself as Jesus is, because if I truly saw myself as Jesus is, then when I look in the mirror, I would see Jesus, a reflection of myself, a reflection of himself. So I look at that and I'm thinking, and as I meditate, I say, I am just like Jesus. Jesus is just like me. Just like A equals B, B equals A. I think of the Legos representation of the man. It can only be a representation of this human flesh, because everything else about me is just like Jesus. I am big. I am just like Jesus. And because I am, Jesus is just like me. We are one. This is truth. This is salt. Meditate on that one. Good stuff to think about, to be able to relate him to us as well as he relates himself to us.